On a quiet Tuesday morning, the sky above Earth suddenly lit up with strange, pulsing lights. Massive spaceships, each the size of a small city, appeared out of nowhere. They hovered silently, their metallic surfaces gleaming in the sunlight. Inside the lead ship, Commander Zix of the Galactic Confederation stared at the blue and green planet below. His large, bulbous eyes blinked rapidly as he processed the data on his screens. "What a primitive world," Zix muttered to his second-in-command Vela. "Look at their puny structures and basic technology." Vela nodded, her antennae twitching with excitement. "Our initial scans show they've barely reached their moon. They don't even have proper space travel." The alien crew buzzed with activity. They had traveled across galaxies, searching for new worlds to add to their ever-growing empire. Earth seemed like an easy target. Down on Earth, chaos erupted. People pointed at the sky, their mouths open in shock. Cars stopped in the middle of roads. TV broadcasts were interrupted with emergency alerts. In New York, Sarah Chen, a young scientist, rushed to her lab at the university. Her colleagues were already there, frantically analyzing data from their equipment. "What are we dealing with?" Sarah asked, her heart pounding. Her friend, Dr. Rodriguez, shook his head. "We don't know, but whatever it is, it's not from around here." Meanwhile, in a small village in Africa, a young boy named Kweezi saw the ships and ran to tell his grandmother. The old woman looked up at the sky and whispered, "The stars have come to visit us." Back on the alien ship, Commander Zix ordered a more detailed scan of Earth's surface. The aliens were confident. They had conquered hundreds of worlds before, and this one seemed no different. "Prepare the invasion plans," Zix commanded. "We'll start with their largest cities." But as the aliens began their preparations, they missed something important. They didn't notice the resilience in the eyes of the humans below. They couldn't see the determination that had allowed humans to survive and thrive for thousands of years. In Washington, D.C., world leaders gathered for an emergency meeting. The President of the United States stood before a room full of nervous politicians. "We don't know who they are or what they want," she said, her voice steady. "But we will face this together. Humanity has overcome every challenge in our history. We will overcome this one too." As night fell, the alien ships remained in the sky, a constant reminder of the unknown threat. People around the world huddled in their homes, eyes glued to their TV screens and phones, waiting for news. In London, a group of friends sat in a pub, trying to make sense of the situation. "Maybe they're friendly," one said hopefully. "Or maybe they're here to eat us all," another joked nervously. The bartender, an old man named George, smiled as he listened. He had lived through wars and seen humanity at its worst and best. "Whatever they are," he said, wiping a glass, "they don't know who they're dealing with." As the first day of the alien arrival came to an end, Earth was a planet holding its breath. Fear mixed with curiosity, panic danced with hope. And up in their ships, the aliens continued their scans, still believing they had found an easy conquest. They had no idea that the seemingly weak humans below were about to surprise them in ways they could never imagine. Commander Zix looked at the night side of Earth, seeing the twinkling lights of cities. "Tomorrow," he said to himself, "we begin our takeover." But tomorrow would bring surprises for everyone, aliens and humans alike. The stage was set for a confrontation that would change the course of two civilizations forever. As the aliens dismissed humans as weak, they were about to learn a valuable lesson. Never underestimate the power of the human spirit. As dawn broke on the second day, the alien ships hummed with activity. Commander Zix stood at the main control panel, his long fingers dancing over the buttons. "Begin the detailed surface scan," he ordered. Beams of invisible light shot down from the ships, sweeping across Earth's surface. The aliens' advanced technology started to peel back the layers of human civilization. At first, things seemed as expected. The scan showed cities, roads, and farms. But as the data poured in, the aliens' confidence began to waver. "Commander, you need to see this," called Vila, her voice filled with surprise. Zix hurried over. On the screen, images flashed by massive dams holding back rivers, deep mines burrowing into the earth, and giant ships crossing vast oceans. How did we miss this? Zix muttered. The scan continued, revealing more wonders. It showed the Great Wall of China snaking across mountains. It uncovered the ancient pyramids of Egypt, still standing after thousands of years. In the alien ship's data room, analysts worked frantically to make sense of what they were seeing. One young alien named Kroll called out, "Sir, I'm detecting a network of information spanning the entire planet." Zix rushed over. The screen showed the internet. Billions of connected devices sharing data at incredible speeds. "Impossible," Zix whispered. "Our initial scans showed nothing like this." Down on Earth, humans noticed the strange beams sweeping across the sky. In Tokyo, a group of teenagers took selfies with the beams in the background. In Rio de Janeiro, people danced in the streets, throwing an impromptu alien scanning party. The alien scan reached deeper. It picked up signals from submarines deep in the oceans and satellites high in orbit. It detected particle accelerators probing the nature of reality and telescopes peering into the depths of the universe. Vila approached Zix, her usual confidence shaken. "Commander, we may have underestimated these humans." Zix didn't respond. He was staring at an image on the main screen. The International Space Station. Humans, working together, had built a home among the stars. As the day wore on, the aliens discovered more. They found libraries containing the collected knowledge of human history. They saw hospitals where humans fought against disease and extended their lifespans. In one part of their ship, an alien researcher named Zin was analyzing human art. She was moved to tears, or the alien equivalent, by the beauty of a Van Gogh painting. "Look at this," she said to her colleague. "They create beauty simply for the sake of beauty." The scan also revealed the darker side of humanity: weapons of mass destruction, polluted rivers, and areas of extreme poverty. But even these showed the complexity of the species they were dealing with. As night fell again, the mood on the alien ship had changed dramatically. The easy conquest they had imagined now seemed like a foolish dream. Zix called a meeting of his top advisors. "We need to reevaluate our approach," he said, his voice grave. Meanwhile, on Earth, humans were starting to recover from their initial shock. In a small lab in India, a young engineer named Raj worked through the night, trying to decipher the alien scanning technology. "If we can understand their scans," he said to his tired team, "maybe we can communicate with them." In New York, Sarah Chen hadn't slept. She and her colleagues had made a breakthrough. "We've detected patterns in their scanning beams," she announced. "They're not just looking at us. They're trying to understand us." As the second day came to a close, both species stood on the brink of a new understanding. The aliens had discovered that Earth was not the simple, primitive world they had imagined. And humans, showing their trademark curiosity and resilience, were already trying to reach out to their unexpected visitors. The stage was set for a meeting that would change both civilizations forever. The surface scan was complete, but the true discovery was just beginning. As the third day dawned, the alien ship buzzed with nervous energy. Commander Zix had ordered a deep dive into human history. The aliens were determined to understand how they had so badly misjudged this species. In the ship's vast library, alien historians worked tirelessly. They sifted through the data collected from Earth's internet, books, and historical records. What they found left them in awe. Vila, now leading the research team, stared at her screen in disbelief. "Commander," she called out, "you need to see this." Zix hurried over. On the screen was a timeline of human evolution. It showed how humans had gone from simple cave dwellers to builders of great civilizations in a relatively short time. "Look at their adaptability," Vela said, her voice filled with wonder. "They've survived ice ages, plagues, and natural disasters." As the aliens dug deeper, they uncovered stories of human resilience that shocked them. They learned about the Black Death, a terrible disease that wiped out nearly half of Europe's population. But humans hadn't just survived. They had emerged stronger, with new ideas about medicine and society. In another part of the ship, an alien named Kroll was studying human wars. At first, he was horrified by the violence. But then he noticed something remarkable. "Commander," Kroll reported, "these humans, they learned from their conflicts. Look at how they formed global organizations after their world wars to prevent future ones." Zix nodded, his earlier dismissiveness replaced by growing respect. The aliens were particularly impressed by human innovation. They'd marveled at how quickly humans had gone from the first flight by the Wright brothers to landing on the moon. It had taken the aliens' own species thousands of years to achieve the same feat. In the ship's art department, Zin was overwhelmed by the diversity of human creativity. She listened to Mozart, studied Leonardo da Vinci's sketches, and read Shakespeare's plays. "They create such beauty," Zin said to a colleague, "even in the face of great hardship." Meanwhile, on Earth, humans were making their own discoveries. In a university in Brazil, a linguist named Maria had made a breakthrough in understanding the aliens' language from their scanning patterns. "It's complex," Maria explained to her excited team, "but there are patterns we can decipher." Back on the alien ship, the research continued. They learned about the Industrial Revolution, marveling at how quickly humans had transformed their world. They studied the digital age, amazed at how a species could create a global network of instant communication in just a few decades. But it wasn't all positive. The aliens also saw the darker side of human history: wars, slavery, environmental destruction. Yet even these discoveries led to grudging admiration. "Look at this," Vela said to Zix, pointing to information about the environmental movement. "They recognize their mistakes and try to correct them. They fight to be better." As the day wore on, the aliens' view of humanity underwent a complete transformation. These weren't the simple, weak creatures they had first imagined. Humans were complex, resilient, and incredibly adaptive. In a quiet moment, Zix stood alone, looking at Earth through a view screen. He thought about his own species' history, how they had developed slowly and steadily over millions of years. Humans, in contrast, seemed to leap forward in bounds, driven by an insatiable curiosity and determination. "We may have much to learn from them," Zix murmured to himself. As night fell on the third day, both species stood on the brink of a new understanding. The aliens had uncovered the rich tapestry of human history, full of triumphs and tragedies, innovations and setbacks. They now knew they weren't dealing with a simple, primitive species, but with a complex civilization capable of great things. On Earth, humans continued to watch the sky, wondering what the aliens had learned about them. In living rooms, classrooms, and government offices around the world, people speculated about what would happen next. The stage was set for a meeting of two very different civilizations. But now, instead of conquerors and conquered, there was potential for something much more interesting: mutual understanding and respect. On the fourth day, the alien ship was unusually quiet. The initial excitement of discovery had given way to deep contemplation. Commander Zix had called for a full reassessment of their mission. In the main conference room, alien leaders from various departments gathered. The atmosphere was tense. Zix stood at the head of the table, his usual confidence replaced by a thoughtful frown. "We have made a grave error in our initial assessment," Zix began. "These humans are not the simple creatures we thought them to be." Vela stepped forward, activating a holographic display. Images of human achievements flickered in the air: the pyramids, the moon landing, towering skyscrapers, and complex computer chips. "Their rate of advancement is unprecedented," Vela explained. "In just a few thousand years, they'd gone from stone tools to space exploration." Kroll, the military strategist, spoke up next. "We must consider them a formidable potential adversary," he said gravely. Their history shows they're capable of uniting against external threats. The aliens discussed the humans' capacity for both great good and terrible destruction. They marveled at human art and literature, but also at their weapons of mass destruction. They're paradoxical, Zin, the cultural expert, observed, capable of incredible beauty and horrific violence in equal measure. As the meeting progressed, it became clear that the original invasion plans were off the table. The risks were too great, the outcome too uncertain. Meanwhile, on Earth, humans were making their own reassessments. In a secret underground bunker, military leaders from around the world had gathered. General Chen of China pointed to satellite images of the alien ships. "We've detected no aggressive movements," she reported, "but we must be prepared for anything." Dr. Rodriguez, now advising the military, added, "Our analysis suggests their technology is far beyond ours. A direct conflict would be problematic." Back on the alien ship, Zix was reaching a similar conclusion. "We cannot treat this as a simple conquest," he announced to his team. The humans' unpredictability makes them dangerous, but also intriguing. The aliens began to see humans in a new light. They admired the human spirit of exploration, so similar to their own. They were fascinated by human creativity and their ability to find innovative solutions to problems. Vila approached Zix privately after the meeting. "Commander," she said hesitantly, "I believe we may have more to gain by attempting peaceful contact." Zix nodded slowly. "I've been considering the same," he admitted. Their potential as allies could be greater than their value as a conquered species. As the aliens debated, Earth continued its own preparations. In laboratories around the world, scientists worked tirelessly to understand the alien technology. In fields and cities, people looked up at the hovering ships, a mix of fear and curiosity in their eyes. In a small town in Russia, an old woman named Olga watched the ships through her window. "Perhaps," she said to her cat, "they are just as afraid of us as we are of them." Her words, though she didn't know it, echoed the sentiments aboard the alien ship. The aliens, for all their advanced technology, found themselves unsure in the face of human complexity. As the fourth day drew to a close, both species stood at a crossroads. The aliens had abandoned their plans for easy conquest, realizing that humans were far more than they had initially believed. Humans, for their part, were showing their remarkable adaptability, already working on ways to communicate with their unexpected visitors. Zix stood at the viewport of his ship, looking down at the blue planet. "Prepare for first contact," he finally decided, "but not as conquerors, as potential friends." His words marked a turning point. What had begun as a planned invasion was transforming into something entirely different. A meeting of two complex civilizations, each with much to learn from the other. As night fell, both humans and aliens prepared for what would come next. The stage was set for a historic encounter, one that would shape the destinies of both species for generations to come. As the fifth day dawned, both Earth and the alien ships buzzed with nervous energy. The aliens had decided to initiate peaceful contact, while humans anxiously prepared for the unknown. On the alien mothership, Commander Zix paced back and forth. "We must approach this delicately," he told his team. "Any misstep could lead to disaster." Vela nodded, her antennae twitching with excitement. "We've prepared a simple greeting in their most widely spoken languages," she reported. Down on Earth, in a hastily assembled command center in Geneva, world leaders and top scientists gathered. They had detected unusual activity from the alien ships. "Something's happening," announced Dr. Sarah Chen, her eyes glued to a monitor. "They're powering up some kind of communication device." Suddenly, every television, radio, and mobile device on Earth crackled to life. A strange, melodic voice spoke in slightly accented English. "People of Earth, we come in peace. We are the Zorks from the planet Xylox. We wish to establish friendly communication." The message repeated in Mandarin, Spanish, Arabic, and several other languages. In New York's Times Square, Crowds gathered around the giant screens, their faces a mix of awe and fear. In a small village in India, families huddled around old radios, listening intently. Back in Geneva, leaders scrambled to formulate a response. The U.S. president turned to her advisors. "We need to answer, but what do we say?" An elderly linguist named Dr. Mehta stepped forward. "Keep it simple," he suggested. "Welcome them and express our desire for peaceful interaction." After heated debate, a message was crafted. The response, broadcast globally, was simple. "Greetings, visitors from Xylox. We welcome you and hope for peaceful exchange." On the alien ship, Zix and his team analyzed the human response. "They seem cautious but open," Vila observed. "Shall we proceed with visual contact?" Zix hesitated, then nodded. "Activate the holographic projectors." Across Earth, the sky shimmered. Giant holographic images appeared, showing Zix and several other aliens. Their appearance: tall, slender beings with iridescent skin and large, expressive eyes, caused gasps worldwide. Zix spoke, his words translated in real time. "We have studied your world and find your species fascinating. We propose a meeting with your leaders to discuss cultural exchange." In Geneva, leaders argued over how to proceed. Some advocated caution, others excitement at the prospect of alien knowledge. Meanwhile, ordinary people reacted in various ways. In Brazil, impromptu street parties erupted, celebrating humanity's first alien contact. In Japan, tech companies immediately began analyzing the alien hologram technology. But not everyone was pleased. In a remote compound, a group of conspiracy theorists saw their worst fears confirmed. "They're here to enslave us," their leader shouted, urging followers to prepare for resistance. As the day progressed, small misunderstandings arose. The aliens' attempt at a friendly gesture, a high-pitched trill, was painfully loud to human ears. Humans' rapid-fire questions overwhelmed the aliens' translators. In a small town in Australia, a young girl named Abby watched the alien holograms with wonder. "Mum," she said, "they look scared too." Her observation wasn't far off. Despite their advanced technology, the aliens found themselves nervous about this unpredictable species. As evening approached, both sides agreed to a face-to-face meeting the next day. A neutral location was chosen, a meadow in Switzerland. On the alien ship, Zix addressed his crew. "Remember, we're not here to conquer, but to understand and potentially ally." In Geneva, world leaders prepared for the historic encounter. The U.S. president practiced her greeting, while Chinese officials debated protocol for meeting alien dignitaries. As night fell, both humans and aliens felt a mix of hope and trepidation. The first contact had been made, but the real challenges and opportunities lay ahead. Across Earth, people looked to the stars with new eyes. The universe suddenly seemed larger, full of potential friends and wonders. Tomorrow would bring the first face-to-face meeting between humans and aliens, a day that would change both species forever. The sixth day broke with a sense of anticipation that blanketed the entire planet. In a picturesque Swiss meadow, final preparations were underway for the historic meeting between humans and aliens. A large, transparent dome had been hastily constructed, designed to accommodate both species comfortably. Inside, two semicircles of chairs faced each other. Earth's most prominent leaders sat on one side, their faces a mix of nervousness and excitement. At precisely noon, a soft humming filled the air. A beam of light appeared, and within seconds, Commander Zix and his delegation materialized. There was an audible gasp from the human side. The U.S. President stood, her hand slightly shaking as she extended it. "Welcome to Earth," she said, her voice strong despite her nerves. Zix looked at her hand, confused for a moment. Vila, who had studied human customs, whispered something to him. Understanding dawned on his face, and he awkwardly took the president's hand. "We are honored to meet you," Zix said, his words translated by a small device on his chest. As the two delegations sat down, the real work began. The first hour was filled with careful introductions and explanations of basic cultural differences. Humans were fascinated by the aliens' ability to change skin color based on their emotions, while the aliens marveled at the diversity of human appearances. Outside the dome, millions watched on screens around the world. In a classroom in Kenya, students cheered as they saw their continent's representative speak. In a nursing home in Canada, elderly residents wiped tears from their eyes, amazed they had lived to see this day. As discussions progressed, both sides began to relax slightly. The Chinese premier cracked a joke about interstellar traffic, which, to everyone's surprise, the aliens found hilarious. Their trilling laughter broke the tension, and conversations began to flow more naturally. However, challenges soon arose. When the topic turned to technology exchange, both sides became guarded. The aliens feared giving advanced tech to a species with a history of warfare, while humans worried about becoming dependent on alien technology. "We cannot simply hand over our scientific knowledge," Zix explained. "Your species must progress at its own pace." The Russian president leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "And how do we know you won't use your advanced technology against us?" The room grew tense. Vila, sensing the shift in mood, quickly intervened. "Perhaps we could start with cultural exchanges. There is much we could learn from each other's art, music, and philosophy." This suggestion was met with enthusiasm from both sides. Plans were made for alien artists to visit Earth museums, and for human musicians to perform for the alien delegation. As the day wore on, more complex issues were tackled. The Indian Prime Minister raised concerns about the aliens' massive ships affecting Earth's atmosphere. The aliens, in turn, expressed worry over Earth's nuclear weapons. In a surprising moment, a young environmental activist who had been invited as an observer spoke up. "Before we discuss further cooperation," she said, her voice shaking slightly, "we need to address the climate crisis threatening our planet." Her words sparked a lengthy discussion about environmental protection, with the aliens offering insights from their own planet's history of overcoming similar challenges. As the meeting neared its end, both sides agreed that this was just the beginning of a long process of getting to know each other. A framework for ongoing diplomatic relations was established, with plans for future meetings and exchanges. In his closing remarks, Zix said, "We came here thinking we might find a world to conquer. Instead, we have found potential friends and allies. There is much we can learn from each other." The U.S. President nodded in agreement. "Today marks the beginning of a new era for both our peoples. Together, we can explore the stars and face the challenges of the universe." As the alien delegation prepared to leave, Vela approached the young activist who had spoken earlier. "Your bravery reminds me of our own youth," she said softly. "Never stop fighting for what you believe in." With a final exchange of farewell gestures, the aliens dematerialized, leaving the human leaders to ponder the incredible events of the day. As night fell, the world buzzed with excitement and hope. The future suddenly seemed brighter, filled with possibilities that no one had dared to imagine just a week ago. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, and nothing would ever be the same again. As the sun rose on the seventh day, Earth awoke to a world forever changed. The events of the past week had reshaped humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. In cities across the globe, people gathered in parks and town squares, discussing the incredible turn of events. Street artists in Rio de Janeiro painted massive murals depicting humans and aliens shaking hands. In Tokyo, tech companies scrambled to develop new products inspired by glimpses of alien technology. At the United Nations headquarters in New York, a special session was underway. Leaders from around the world had gathered to discuss the path forward. "We stand at the dawn of a new era," the Secretary General announced, her voice echoing through the chamber. "Our first task is to establish a global framework for interacting with our new alien friends." Meanwhile, aboard the alien mothership, Commander Zix addressed his crew. "We came seeking conquest," he said, his skin shimmering with emotion. But we found something far more valuable: potential allies in this vast universe. Back on Earth, the first joint human-alien project was already underway. In a state-of-the-art laboratory in Switzerland, Dr. Sarah Chen worked alongside Vila, combining human ingenuity with alien knowledge to tackle climate change. If we can merge your atmospheric purification techniques with our renewable energy technology, Sarah explained excitedly, we might be able to reverse centuries of damage in just a few decades. Vela nodded, her antennae twitching with enthusiasm. And in the process, we'll learn so much from each other, she added. Across the planet, similar collaborations were taking shape. In the Sahara Desert, alien engineers joined human scientists to test new terraforming techniques. In the depths of the Pacific Ocean, a joint team explored the possibility of underwater cities, an idea long theorized by humans, but made possible by alien structural technology. Not everyone was happy with these rapid changes, however. In a small town in the American Midwest, a group of protesters gathered outside the mayor's office. "We can't trust them," shouted one man, holding a sign that read "Earth for Humans." "How do we know this isn't all part of their plan to take over?" But such voices were in the minority. Most of humanity embraced the opportunity for growth and learning. Universities around the world created new departments of xenobiology and interstellar relations. Children in elementary schools began learning basic phrases in the alien language. In orbit around Earth, construction began on a space station that would serve as a neutral meeting ground for humans and aliens. It was a marvel of joint engineering, combining the best of both species' technologies. As weeks passed, the first cultural exchanges took place. A group of alien artists arrived in Paris to study human art history, while a team of human musicians prepared for a concert tour of the alien homeworld. In a small village in Nepal, an old Sherpa named Tenzing sat with a young alien scientist, sharing stories of climbing Mount Everest. The alien listened in awe, its skin changing colors with each exciting part of the tale. "Your species' desire to overcome challenges simply because they exist is fascinating," the alien said. Tenzing smiled. "Perhaps one day we'll climb mountains on your world together," he replied. As the first month since first contact came to a close, humanity found itself changed in profound ways. Old rivalries between nations began to seem petty in the face of the vast universe. Global cooperation reached unprecedented levels as humans united to present their best face to the galactic community. In a joint broadcast watched by billions on Earth and on the alien homeworld, Commander Zix and the UN Secretary-General signed a historic treaty of friendship and cooperation. "Today, we take our first steps together into a brighter future," the Secretary-General said. Zix nodded in agreement. "We may come from different worlds, but we share the same stars. Together, there's no limit to what we can achieve." As night fell on this new era, people around the world looked up at the stars with new eyes. The universe was no longer a place of mystery and potential threat. It was a vast frontier of opportunity, filled with new friends and endless possibilities. Humanity had been dismissed as weak, but had proven its strength not through conquest or war, but through adaptability, curiosity, and the willingness to extend a hand in friendship. As Earth prepared for its new role in the galactic community, one thing was clear: the future would be an adventure beyond anything anyone had ever imagined.